Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to quickly map out the basic parts of a landscape ready to work into it with mark making, perspective, creating distance, blurring, shading, etc, etc. All right, so option number one, this one is the easiest way. All right, so you have your landscape, okay, and you turn it over, and all you do is you get yourself, if you have one, a graphite stick. If you don't, a graphite pencil where all of the pencil is graphite. And if you're really struggling, you just have a pencil. That will do absolutely fine. Just make sure that it is as sharp as you can get it. Okay, and if you only have a pencil, if you do need to do it with HB, that's fine, but if you can use a 2B one, it's a bit softer, so it'll print onto the paper a little bit better. All right, and all you do is just go over the back of the picture. For speed, I'm going to use the graphite stick. Okay, now you don't need to be pressing on really hard for this, because you are only doing a very basic transfer. Okay, so if you were going to do a bit more of a detailed drawing and you want to maybe apply a little bit of shading just to get the basics of the shading in, then you would probably press on quite a bit harder. Right, but for this task, right, just going over, making sure it's as even as you can possibly get it. Okay, and all you do then is turn it over. I would suggest that you use a little bit of masking tape for this, just so that the paper doesn't move underneath you. All right, but for speed of this video, all I'm going to do is just leave it as it is and make sure that it doesn't move. All right, and all we do now is we go over the most obvious bits. Okay, now I hope you appreciate I'm going to rush through this. Okay, just to make sure. Now I might put a few bits in here just so I know that these are dark. Okay, at the end of the day we're going to be working into this, but it does help you as you're drawing just to put in a few of the dark bits. Okay, and you can, if you wanted to go to quite a bit of detail, then you are more than welcome to. All right, you don't have to kind of hint like I'm doing. Okay, you could get every single nook and cranny in there if you wanted to. Now the reason why I'm using a pen and not a pencil is because a pen just has a bit of a sharper nib, and you can push down on that a little bit more with your pen. I find it works really well for me. Maybe you prefer to use something else, right? And I've just put a few little scribbles there just to get the basics in. All right, I am also going to put the edges of the paper in for now. Okay, that way, again, it's only rough. I can smarten it up once I've gone through it all. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check to make sure that all of the lines have gone through. And can you see? They've gone through. All right, I'll even put this lake in. Now, you will find, okay, with this technique, right, that a lot of artists do this quite a bit. And the reason why they do it is because they want to kind of focus their time on presenting the work. All right, they want to focus on all the detail. All right, so we want to just put in a few little hints and ideas of where the things are. All right, and very faintly I will just put in the horizon line, and I'll start to look at here, all right, where the more obvious clouds are. Again, you could spend 20 minutes, half an hour putting in every single pattern, every single shape. All right, with this technique, it's absolutely your discretion. There's no harm in you doing that. All right, because if you do that, it makes your life a little bit easier during the session. Okay, and that's one technique. All right, and although you can't really see it on the camera, put it a little bit closer. Can you see? You have everything in proportion, you know what you're looking for, and you've got a basic mapped out image. All right, again, you can go to the nth degree with this. You could put in, instead of rushing these marks, you could put in every single line. You can tape it all up. You could draw it in incredibly well so that you can focus on trying to get these marks in a little bit more. All right, so that's option number 1. Option number 2 is to grid it up. That makes life quite easy, especially as you come into drawing. Okay, now what I've done is I have measured the length and the width of the drawing, and I've roughly divided it up into 6 squares. But what I have done is I haven't kept the squares perfectly even. And the reason why I've done that is because at the top and the bottom, there's quite a lot of information. Okay, so therefore, there's quite a lot of detail, in the foreground here. So therefore, I just feel that I don't really need so many squares because I've only really got this line to put in and this line to put in. And then from these 2 here, I've only really got the cloud shapes to put in, so that's reasonably quite easy to do. But in the middle ground, there is quite a lot of information. It's quite a lot of lines that I need to make sure do get put in the right place, ready for the 1 point perspective. Okay, so that's my grid. And to make my life easy, all I did was put the piece of paper over the top of the grid, put it up against a window with a ruler and drew over it. Okay, you don't need to map it out again if you don't want to. I used a soft pencil to draw these lines so that they can rub out nicely. And all I do is I choose section by section, okay, square at a time, and I just start to, again, just quickly, all right, map it in. Again, with this, you can go to the absolute nth degree. Okay, it's completely up to you. All right, you can really try and draw in as many lines as you want. Okay, or you could just map it out really quickly like I'm doing. Okay. I've gone a little bit high there. Yeah, probably don't go as fast as I have just there because I made an error there, didn't I? But that's the bonus of the grid. You can see where you go wrong quite quickly. Okay. So let's start again. I'm putting some of these shapes here where the light is a little bit darker, the shapes are a bit darker. Okay. Now this is a bit like a time sketch, so I'm just gonna quickly put it in and then I'll double check it in a bit. So all I'm doing, and all I really need you to do, is just to map it out very, very basically, so that you get an idea of where things need to go. Okay. Again, I'm not going to carry on with that. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. I'll press a little bit harder so you can see it. Alright, and I've just mapped out that bottom line very, very basically, and when it comes to the session on Wednesday, you've got your lines in the right place. Okay, if you want to go into a little bit more detail and make sure that every line's a little bit more accurate, then you can do. You could start to put in these lines here. Okay, and you can really take your time to get those in place, because this bit is the easy bit. Okay, putting in the lines. What I will show you on Wednesday is the harder bit. Okay, the shading, the perspective, the shading to perspective, the blurring in the background, and the shading of the clouds again. Okay, so again, do as much or as little as you want. I will show you during the session on Wednesday how to do that again very, very quickly if you don't have time. So please don't worry, I know time is precious. Enjoy.